Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Black Beauty Activist podcast. I am your host, Dr. Tameka Ellington. And this podcast is where we discuss some critical conversations in regarding disrupting the westernized beauty standards and to raise consciousness and confidence of the Black community. Again, I'm your host, Dr. Tameka. For those of you that may not know me, I am a speaker and I'm an author, a confidence coach, a scholar. And on this podcast, I like to talk about different types of topics that are difficult to talk about, things that people oftentimes hesitate to talk about. Today, we'll be discussing the power of winning and maintaining confidence in the face of hardships and adversities. And I can still see myself years and years ago in seventh grade on the track team, getting ready to be coached and trained by the amazing Coach Slapnick at Patrick Henry at Intermediate School in Cleveland. For those of you that might be familiar with Coach Slapnick, he was pretty famous in Cleveland. He was an amazing coach. Coach Slapnick was amazing. I was just not amazing. I was a poor athlete, and he did his best to get me involved. He first tried me on hurdles because I had long legs, still have long legs, but he tried me on the hurdles first. And during practice, I would fall forward, I would run, fall forward, and instead of me gliding over the hurdle, I would stop in mid run and like walk over or step over the hurdle. So the hurdles didn't work for me. Then Coach Slapnick decided that he wanted to try me on cross country. So he put me on the cross country squad, and I hated running so that I can build up stamina. And so I was always coming in last. And so cross country didn't work for me. And God bless him, Coach Slapnick was trying everything he could to keep me on the team. And so he put me in with the sprinters, okay? And that was going to be my last shot. Now, I got in with the sprinters, and I'm here to tell you that almost every time, almost 100% of the time, I came in last. Unfortunately, running was something I was never passionate about. And because I wasn't passionate about running, that also left me out of many other sports. I mean, most sports, you got to do some kind of running, and I'm not a runner. But if you need somebody to run and be a leader for your student council, I'm your girl. If you need somebody to be on your hospitality and charm and modeling club, I'm your girl. Even if you need somebody to be in your art club, and I'm going to be there with my paints, my paper, my charcoals. I'm going to be there and I'm going to be ready. But however, I can proudly say that I am not an athlete, have never been an athlete, but I've always admired those individuals who are athletes. My next guest on the Black Beauty Activist podcast was introduced to me from her aunt. Her aunt is entrepreneur and creative Charlene Ramos Chesnes, one of my close friends. We've been friends now for probably about 15 years. Charlene started out as a mentor to me first, and over the years, we became great friends. She's like family to me. And Charlene introduced me to her nephew, Eric, and we became friends. And then I was introduced to Eric's amazing daughter, who just so happens to be an artist and an athlete. And not just any athlete, but the 2023 NCAA Mile Champion athlete. So that's a special kind of athlete. And so, activists, it is my pleasure to introduce you to Miss Olivia Howell. Welcome, Olivia. Come on stage.
Hi.
Hello. And Olivia, when we first got on, she was talking about, oh, the background is so messy because I'm working on I'm like, you know what? You're an artist. You're in the studio. You're supposed to be messy, right? That's the best.
Yeah.
That's the best kind of artist. That's how you know that you're like actively working and something's going to be produced after you're done. So I got a chance to see your studio. Your brother, when I was over Charlene's for Easter, your brother was showing the video that he had taken of your studio space. So I got a chance to see a little
Oh,
bit. But
nice.
yeah. So it's supposed to be messy back there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to introduce you. Olivia Howell is a student athlete at the University of Illinois studying studio art, and she runs cross country track on the track and field team there. She was born and raised in Solon, Ohio, right outside of Cleveland. And after college, she plans to continue her career as a professional runner as well as to explore a profession in studio arts. And I have to say, and most people your age are oftentimes quite modest in how they write their bio. And your bio was very modest. Your bio was not a true reflection of the amazing person that you are. And so one thing that I want to say to you, and this is something that I have learned over the years, as I've continued to mature and continue to accomplish other things, never be shy about your accomplishments. Scream them from the rooftops, because every gift that you've been given has come from the creator, and the creator should be celebrated. So all the gifts that you have should be celebrated.
Yeah.
Everything should be celebrated. So I am sure that by now, with all the success that you've had, you've probably witnessed already, as your popularity continues to grow and you become more successful, there might be people who don't appreciate your gifts and, in fact, might be jealous. And I've learned to not taper myself for people. Don't feel like you have to taper yourself because you don't want to make people feel intimidated, because you're going to continue to become even more wonderful than you already are. And people are going to have a hard time with that wonderfulness. People are going to have a difficult time with that excellence. And so you have to get into a space right now where you are, being happy about all the gifts that you have, and being able to just openly allow that excellence to come through. So I want to know, who is Olivia Howell? She's the sweetest lady alive, but will murder your behind on the track. I'm sure she will do it with love, but she will murder you, right? So, who is Olivia Howell?
I guess besides like the most obvious things, the running, the art, I guess who I am is someone who's faith driven and who really values the relationships with either family or friends, and use both of those to navigate life and every aspect of it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess that's the general
yeah,
who I am.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. What are some of the greatest accomplishments that you have had, or some of like your greatest wins?
I'd say aside from the most recent winning indoor nationals, that was such a blessing. And my Big Ten championship wins, I think overcoming adversity like throughout the journey,
Mhm.
those are my biggest accomplishments, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you expound on that a little bit? So, we all have adversities, but I think what becomes powerful is how we take those adversities and turn them into something that gives us energy, And so, can you talk a little bit about some of that? I know that you lost your mom a couple years ago, and I know that that still is a heavy burden for your family. Can you speak to, how you were able to navigate that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is that during that time after she passed, I wanted to give my life to God right away, because I just wanted to know the reason why He allowed it to happen. Not really out
Yeah.
of anger, but out of curiosity, and just to have a peace of mind. Although
Yeah.
I did constantly pray about it, ask for answers. Sometimes He doesn't give that to us right away.
Yeah.
Um, and although now I don't fully know um, exactly His plan and the reason why, but after getting more involved with the church and constantly reading my Bible, I see that He did it for His glory,
Yeah.
and He gained a new follower in Christ. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um, those are like two big things that happened. Although a lot of it is kind of a blur. I know now I do most of what I do to like honor God and to honor her and her life, and constantly thanking God for the time that he gave me with her and what I was able to learn from her. And yeah.
Wow, man. I take it that most of the accomplishments that you've had so far in your life came after her passing. And so my question then is, how did you stay focused, afterwards? Because that is something that can definitely, um, make or break you, something that can keep you off focus, when you have tragedies like that or any kind of loss. It can keep you off focus, but somehow you've been able to maintain your focus and on the goals that you've had. I mean, and not only did you maintain focus, but you've done exceptionally well with that.
Yeah, I would say that I was able to accomplish a lot while she was here. So continuing that drive that I had when she was here in spirit, and translating that to what I do now. Although she's not physically here, I still feel her presence whenever I'm going through something hard. One saying that she would always say is, "Do it all the way or don't do it at all." So if I'm ever feeling like I don't want to get up to run, we don't have practice, or do like run the extra mile, quote unquote, and anything like that, I just make sure that I keep her voice along with the voice of God. As you said before, we should like, this is a gift given from him.
Absolutely.
Knowing that I'm living a life for him, that was enough motivation to get me out of bed and continue to work hard towards goals.
And that advice that you got from your mom is amazing advice, especially for you to be able to grab onto that at the age that you are now, because that will carry you through the rest of your life. Anything that you do it well, right? Do it to the best of your ability, because when one thing that I've learned over the years is that when you live a life of excellence, people remember that. People will always want to work with you when you're excellent. If you are somebody that half steps, or somebody that puts in mediocre work, people won't want to work with you. But if you're constantly putting out excellence and you're constantly putting out only the best of yourself, and like you said, your mom said, to do it all the way, only good things will come. Only good things will come. Even like when you think about, you getting into the profession of art, and you putting in artists. I'm an artist myself, and so I know how deep we can get in our work, and putting your all into that, and only good things will come. Only good things will come out of that. So let's talk a little bit about confidence. Confidence is a belief or firm trust in one's qualities and capabilities. It's a combination of what we call self-esteem, or a feeling of self-worth, and self-efficacy, what we know of as one's abilities, or our belief in our abilities or capabilities. In order to reach the tremendous goals that you set for yourself, please describe to us the process that you took to build up your confidence. So we know, like, how you were able to stay focused, but being focused is not enough. Oftentimes you have to also have this inner confidence. So what was it about you that, like, how did you build up that inner confidence?
Yeah, so I think it just always goes back to God and finding my worth in God as a godly woman, and not rooting it in something that won't always be there, such as my success. Because if I root it in my success, then when I have failures, I'll lose that confidence. So
Absolutely.
Definitely rooting it in something that is solid, such as God. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
And go ahead, sweetheart. You go ahead.
I think another thing is surrounding myself with people who also have confidence in me and who are very supportive. My dad, who might be on here watching, has always set high goals for me. And although I would sometimes look at him crazy, um, those goals would always kind of stick in my head and would always be in the back of my mind with everything that I do. And a lot of what he said like 5 years ago is like coming to pass. And I guess just like never letting go of those goals that I have.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Wow. Would you say you have like the confidence that you have as in yourself as a runner? Do you feel like you have that same confidence in yourself as an artist?
I no. I am definitely working on it. I've gotten a lot better. But I'm such a tough critic on myself with my art. And it hasn't really been shown to a lot of people. And I'm just recently started like really developing my skills and stuff.
Yeah.
But long story short, I'm definitely trying to translate a lot of what I learned from running into every aspect of life,
Yeah.
especially my art. So
Absolutely. I think you and I think we had a conversation about this before, and I may have mentioned like once you find your style, your technique, once you really find that, then everything else will it'll work itself out. Because when you think about any kind of artist, no matter if it's a architect or if it's a painter, sculptor, they all have a technique that is solely theirs. And once you find that, I think you'll be off to the races after that. And I think that's the hardest part, because it takes a while to really figure out who you are as an artist. But I think that once you know that, then you'll be off to the races. So one thing I'm going to challenge you to do is I'm going to challenge you to, because you have what, one more year of school, is that right?
potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so after that year of school, I would like to see if you can have your work being shown in some gallery, someplace in Cleveland or in here in Akron or Columbus or wherever you can get into a gallery. Um, and have that be like your first show. So once you graduate, I'm sure they're probably going to have a show for you guys at school. But after you are done with your actual pieces that you have to, complete for school, those pieces should then go to the gallery, right? So that you can actually have your first real gallery showing.
Yeah.
And when you do, you need to let me know, and I will be there to support you.
I will for sure let you know and
Yeah.
try to make that happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, make that happen.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the way you get going. Just step your foot out there. Just do it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know if I told you, I'm in the process of working with the Akron Art Museum, and I'm curating an exhibition for them, and it'll open in November. And one thing that I've learned in the process of that is that artists, if you want people to know you, you got to get out there, right? And now, like, you got to start posting your art, right?
Yeah.
You need this, like, you should have a whole separate Instagram page just of your artwork.
I do have a separate Instagram page.
Okay.
But I have 4 posts in the last 3 years. So
this is the time, girlfriend.
Yeah.
This is the time. Yes. Is there, let me see. Oh, one last question I have for you. Visualization and manifestation. I was reading an article entitled Visualize Success by Team USA. .org. It stated many elite athletes routinely use visualization techniques as a part of training and competition. There are many stories of athletes who've used this technique to cultivate not only a competitive edge, but also to create renewed mental awareness and a heightened sense of self well-being and confidence. All of these factors have shown to contribute to an athlete's sport success. And so, have you also because and this question, the reason why I'm asking this question is because visualization works for not only artwork or doing sports or whatever the case might be. It works for every part of your life. Like, if there's anything that you want to do, if you can visualize that before you actually step into it, it makes it that much more successful. So do you have a visualization process that you use like before you're going to race? And if you do, can you kind of like walk us through like how you get into that mode, you know?
Yeah, I guess it starts at practice, definitely. My coach, like during workout, she's always telling us what part of the race we're mentally preparing for as we're running the workout.
Mm,
And to kind of get into the mode right before the race, I definitely visualize myself, like what moves I'm going to do, um, visualizing myself the last 50, how I want to take it out, and also
mm,
visualizing myself crossing the finish line.
yeah.
And it helped in high school. My high school coach, she would had like turn off the lights, we would lay on the floor, and
Mm,
she would talk us through how the day was going to go, getting on the bus, lining up, racing, like all of that stuff leading up to the race and the race itself.
mm-hmm.
And she would be like, Olivia is like taking in her last breath, and it's the final stretch, and she's starting to catch the girl, like just stuff like that. And I feel like I
Yeah.
translate that in a more general sense when I'm now racing in college.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely there's like I always pray before the race
Yeah.
and remind myself that this is fun for me. Like I'm enjoying this because it's so easy to um, get caught up in all the pressure and
Mm-hmm.
all of the anxiety and all of the just like race stress.
Yeah.
And to kind of just let that all out and tell God that I will trust Him when it gets tough. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it.
And that's really good because, like I said, it works for anything that we want to do. Visualization works for everything. Um, and I have been thinking about, and visualizing, what it would look like to see you on TV on the Olympics, to see you on TV running,
Mhm.
in a bigger races and things like that. And so, I mean, it's amazing what you've been able to accomplish, and you're such a great example of
Thank you.
perseverance through adversity. Because we all, like I said, we all have adversity, but the fact that you were able to step out of it is the thing that's the most impressive to me. Because so many people they have a hard time stepping out of it. A lot of people do, and sometimes it'll take them into different directions that they don't want to go down. But the fact that you've been able to take all the things that you've gone through and to be able to just just like you said, just be a vessel, like you are a vessel for Christ. And so to be able to show that through all the adversity, is there anything that you would like to talk about that we haven't talked about? Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
I honestly, I can't think of anything at the moment. Covered
Mhm.
a lot of just not a lot of questions that are asked in like normal interviews,
Mhm.
which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I can't think of anything else that we haven't
Okay.
touched.
Can you leave the audience, the people that are watching, can you leave them with a piece of advice um, towards striving towards their goals in the face of adversity? What strategy would you give to them?
First and foremost, I would say like leaning on the everlasting God.
Yeah.
Um, he will get you through any situation and help you get through the adversity. And
Mhm.
I think the biggest thing is to be patient. It's so easy to get anxious when you're in a waiting period and when you're not reaching those goals, even though you're putting in all the work and you see others achieving those goals that you hope to achieve yourself. Um, there's I like to tell people as far as like the running community to not let their personal records be a capstone for their potential.
Mm,
And I feel
mm,
like that can translate in every aspect of life,
mhm.
to not let what you've done in the past determine what you can do in the future.
Absolutely.
So all of those things combined, enjoying the journey.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that advice, like that advice that you were talking about, just a minute ago, like the very first thing that you said about not getting caught up in the process, like, that if you see other people, succeeding, and you're kind of like, it feels like you're at a standstill. That was for me. You said that for me, because I've been dealing with that lately. And it's difficult, especially when you're trying something new in your life and you're putting everything into it, and then you are not seeing the results that you want to see right away. Being patient. I need to be patient with myself. I am not a patient woman, honey. When I want something, I want it right now. And so I need to learn how to be patient with myself, patient with the creator. And so that is amazing advice. Thank you.
Yeah. And trust me, I also need to work on patience too.
Yeah.
Not an easy process.
It's not, especially you know what I think makes it difficult with patience is when you already see it. Like, I already see the success that I want, and I already see what my life is going to look like, right? And I'm sure you already see yourself in the success that you want, but the fact that you're not there yet, that's when it becomes difficult, right? Yeah,
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 for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Well, I thank you for being with me. And is there a way that how would you like the audience to be able to stay connected with you?
I think I'm definitely most active on Instagram. Should I say what it
Yes,
is?
please, please do,
Okay.
please do. And well,
It,
what I'll also do is you'll tell everybody what it is, and then I'll also put it in the description once I post the videos and everything. I'll also put your
okay.
Instagram handle in the description. So
Yeah, so it's howell.olivia11.
okay.
And thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. Thank you for spending a little. I know you're a busy woman, so and you got to get back to that artwork. So I
Yeah,
appreciate you spending some time with me.
of course.
Yes, yes.
Anytime.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, you too.
Peace. Peace
Bye.
and blessings. All right. So this part of the episode is when I start to break down a little bit about some of the research that went into getting prepared for this episode. As a scholar, I truly believe that it's important that I not only know the topic, but that I have some information to back up what I'm saying. I know what I want to talk about, and I know the things that come to my mind, but it's always important not to just take my word for it, but to take others' word for it that have put in the work, that have done the research on these different topics. And so I want to bring up to you all this article that I found in the Psychology Today. It says it's an article by AJ Adams, and I'll definitely post that. Let me see if I have it on my banner and I can put it up for you all. So for those of you that are watching, this is the article. If you are interested in looking at that article and learning more, I'll also post that in my descriptions at the very end. But this article is entitled "Seeing is Believing: The Power of Visualization." It discusses the fact that brain studies now reveal that thoughts produce the same mental instructions as actions. Mental imagery impacts many cognitive processes in the brain, such as our motor control. I'm sure that's something that Miss Olivia definitely visualizes her motor control as she's in her running mode, attention, perception, planning, and memory. And so the brain is getting trained for actual performance during visualization. So as we visualize the thing that we want to happen in our life, our brain begins to get prepared for that. And it's also been found in this research that mental practice can enhance motivation. Mental practice can enhance confidence and self-efficacy. As I mentioned before, self-efficacy is that idea that you are in a space where you believe that the things that you want to accomplish are possible. And for those that also do visualize, it's a way to help you achieve the best version of your life, the best version of you. And so for those that might want to know more, like I said, I'll make sure that I post this article on my YouTube descriptions. And if you are interested, which I'm sure you probably are, knowing this episode of the Black Beauty Activist podcast is brought to you by the Black Hair in a White World book. This is my 5th book. This book is going to be the first book that I tour with. This book, if you have not already gotten your copy, it's available for pre-order, and you can get it on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. So make sure that you get your copy today. And be looking out for me in a city near you, because I will be coming around to about, at least right now, I'm scheduled for about 7 different cities to tour with this book. So I'm really, really excited about that. And so I just want to say thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please like it and leave a comment on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, and share it with those people in your circle who you believe will benefit. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, the Black Beauty Activist Podcast, and I look forward to seeing you again in another episode. Peace and blessings, everyone.